Have you ever imagined what would happen if the person you love most were treated as a mere servant in front of your friends and colleagues? It sounds like a movie scenario, doesn't it? But what if I told you that this can happen in real life and change everything you thought you knew about success, shame, and redemption? João and Maria were a couple like any other, but a wrong decision at a work event triggered a series of events that would challenge their relationship and their understanding of the true value of people. Get ready for a story that will surprise you, provoke you, and maybe even inspire you to reassess your own choices and attitudes. Do you want to know how a simple decision made out of shame can transform into a journey of overcoming and recognition? Stay tuned to discover how João and Maria face the consequences of a past mistake and how redemption can arise from the most unexpected places. João and Maria were a couple who, in the eyes of many, lived a common and peaceful life. João, with his job at a large company, dedicated himself intensely to his career, while Maria, with her simple and welcoming demeanor, took care of the home with dedication and love. They had been together for years, building a life based on a seemingly solid family routine. But, as we know, not everything is as it seems. João always took pride in his professional progress but felt a twinge of embarrassment when comparing Maria with the sophisticated wives of his colleagues. He feared that Maria's simplicity would not be well received in his company's social circles. This insecurity began to create a subtle yet growing distance between them. Maria, on the other hand, although happy in her role as a homemaker, sensed the nuances of discontent in her husband. These latent feelings became more apparent when João received an invitation to an important work event. He knew he would have to bring Maria and, although she was excited about the opportunity, he could not shake off his discomfort. The event would be a showcase of his professional life, but also a stage for his secret shame. And so, the seed of a painful decision began to germinate in his mind. João was invited to a company gala, a perfect opportunity to strengthen bonds with colleagues and superiors. He decided to bring Maria, hoping her presence would make a good impression. However, as the day of the event approached, João's shame and fear of judgment began to torment him. He worried about Maria's simplicity compared to the sophisticated wives of his colleagues. On the day of the event, Maria dressed with the utmost care, choosing her most beautiful dress and putting an optimistic smile on her face. João, however, was visibly tense, his mind filled with a whirlwind of insecurities. He feared that his colleagues' critical gazes would fall on Maria, revealing her simplicity. And then, in a moment of panic, he made a mistake that would change everything. He introduced Maria as his housemaid. Maria was stunned, but not wanting to make a scene, she maintained her composure and accepted the role João had imposed on her. She felt a deep hurt and shame but decided to face the situation with dignity. João, on the other hand, felt a momentary relief, believing he had avoided a greater embarrassment. Little did he know that this decision would plant the seeds of resentment that would grow between them in the years to come. During the event, João tried to mask his discomfort by presenting Maria to colleagues as his housemaid. He thought that this way, he would avoid critical looks and disparaging comments. Maria, surprised and hurt, accepted the situation to avoid causing a scene, but inside, she felt a bitter mix of shame and resentment. She had always been a dedicated wife, and being reduced to a mere servant in front of strangers was a deep wound. João's colleagues, unaware of the truth, treated Maria with condescension, praising her dedication to taking care of the house. João, trying to convince himself that he had done the right thing, immersed himself in business conversations and strategies, ignoring Maria's sad and distant look. The event continued, and while João struggled to maintain appearances, Maria kept every word and gesture as a painful reminder of the humiliation she was enduring. When the event finally ended, the drive home was silent and tense. Maria, holding back tears, waited until they were alone to confront João. He, however, downplayed the incident, saying he did it to protect both of them from others' judgment. Maria, although deeply hurt, decided to swallow her pride and move on, but resentment was beginning to take root in her heart, slowly changing the dynamic between them. After the event, Maria could no longer contain her sadness and confronted João about his behavior. Sitting at the kitchen table, she expressed the hurt and shame she felt being introduced as a maid. João, defensive, tried to justify his action by saying it was for her and his reputation at work. He argued that Maria's simplicity might be viewed negatively by his colleagues, potentially harming his career. Maria, however, was not convinced by João's explanations. She knew the real problem was his shame of her, and this deeply hurt her. João continued to downplay the incident, believing that over time Maria would forget. He did not realize that his words and actions were creating a chasm between them, feeding the resentment that Maria silently harbored. From that day on, João and Maria's relationship began to cool. She withdrew emotionally, ceasing to share her joys and sorrows with him. João, in turn, delved even more into work, trying to compensate for the discomfort at home with professional success. Both pretended that everything was fine, but the incident at the event had left deep scars that would continue to grow in the following years, fueling a constant and silent tension between them. Over the years, João and Maria's relationship became increasingly cold and distant. The event had left an invisible but deep scar. Maria, despite continuing to care for the home with the same dedication, harbored resentments that João seemed unable to perceive. He, on the other hand, immersed himself further into work, believing that professional success would compensate for the problems at home. Maria, silently, began to seek ways to fill the emotional void she felt. She dedicated herself to learning new skills, investing her time in cooking and management courses. The classes were not only a distraction but also a way to boost her self-esteem. She discovered a hidden passion for gastronomy and dreamed of starting her own business, although she kept this desire a secret. João, unaware of Maria's subtle changes, continued to believe that his dedication to work was the solution to the couple's problems. He did not realize that by emotionally distancing himself, he was further feeding Maria's resentment. As the years passed, the silence between them became a constant presence. The lack of communication and distance created a barrier that seemed insurmountable, setting the stage for an unexpected twist. While João continued to be absorbed in his career, Maria started investing in a small business of her own. Leveraging her new culinary and administrative skills, she opened a small restaurant. Initially, balancing home responsibilities with a new venture was challenging, but Maria was determined to make her business thrive. Each dish prepared was a symbol of her overcoming and desire for redemption. Maria's restaurant, with its homemade and welcoming touch, quickly gained popularity in the community. Customers appreciated the quality of the food and the warm atmosphere she created. News of the restaurant's success spread, and soon, Maria saw her business grow exponentially. What began as a small initiative turned into a renowned restaurant chain, bringing her recognition and respect. João, on the other hand, barely noticed the magnitude of Maria's success. Engulfed in his own work difficulties, he did not realize the silent but powerful transformation occurring beside him. Maria, now a successful entrepreneur, maintained her composure and humility, but the resentment she felt towards João was still present. The financial turnaround was a personal victory, but true redemption was yet to come. Maria's restaurant success did not go unnoticed by the community. With a touch of talent and a lot of determination, she turned her passion for cooking into a successful empire. Maria's restaurant chain became synonymous with quality and excellence, attracting customers from all over. Her name was now respected and admired, a symbol of overcoming and resilience that inspired many. João, meanwhile, faced financial difficulties in his company. Things were not going well, and he desperately sought solutions. It was then that he heard about the growing success of a local restaurant, not knowing it was Maria's. Seeing an opportunity for partnership, he decided to approach the owner, believing that this alliance could save his company. He was still unaware that fate was about to reveal a surprising truth. When João finally scheduled a meeting with the restaurant owner, he did not imagine the impact it would have on his life. Walking into the elegant and well-decorated office, he encountered Maria, now a powerful CEO. The initial shock gave way to a mix of shame and recognition. The woman he had underestimated was now in a position of power and recognition, something he had never imagined. João's company was facing a severe financial crisis, and he saw Maria's restaurant success as a lifeline. Not knowing Maria was the owner, he scheduled a meeting to propose a partnership. Entering the meeting room and finding Maria sitting at the table as CEO, João felt a mixture of shock and shame. The woman he had underestimated was now in a position of power and recognition he had never imagined. Maria, for her part, maintained a firm and professional demeanor, but couldn't help feeling a twinge of satisfaction seeing João's surprise. She listened attentively to his proposal, but for her, it was not just a business matter. It was an opportunity to confront the past and seek personal redemption. João, realizing the magnitude of his mistakes, felt the weight of recognition and regret. The meeting became a moment of revelation and reconciliation. João humbly asked Maria for forgiveness, acknowledging how much he had underestimated and humiliated her. He understood that true success was not just in career achievements, but in valuing and respecting those around him. Maria, in turn, saw the sincerity in João's apology and, despite her resentment, decided to give redemption a chance by offering him the partnership as a new beginning. The encounter between João and Maria was a true clash of realities. João, who had spent years trying to avoid discomfort and shame, found himself facing Maria, not just as an ex-wife but as a successful and powerful businesswoman. The revelation that Maria was the restaurant's CEO brought all the repressed emotions and accumulated resentments over the years to the surface. During the meeting, Maria had the opportunity to express how much the event had hurt her. She spoke about the impact of João's actions and how those choices had shaped the resentment and distance that grew between them. João listened, absorbing each word with a mix of shame and admiration. The reality of the suffering he had caused Maria was now clear to him, and the confrontation brought a painful clarity to his own flaws. The dialogue was not easy, and emotions were raw, but it was also a moment of learning and growth for both. João began to understand the depth of the mistake he had made, and Maria, despite everything, found a way to deal with her wounds, offering a chance for a new beginning. The final confrontation was the catalyst they both needed to start repairing their relationship and seek true redemption. After the final confrontation, João and Maria began a slow and careful process of rebuilding. They decided to work together, not only professionally but also in their personal relationship. João dedicated himself to truly valuing Maria, recognizing her strength and contributions. Maria, in turn, accepted João's apology but on the condition that he committed to changing his attitudes. The experience brought valuable lessons for both. João learned that true recognition is not about financial success alone, but about respecting and valuing the people around him. He began to show genuine gratitude and appreciation for Maria, understanding the importance of not letting shame or fear of judgment affect his decisions. Maria, on the other hand, discovered the strength of overcoming and forgiveness. She learned to set boundaries and pursue her own happiness, regardless of adversities. The path to redemption and rebuilding the relationship was filled with challenges, but also new opportunities. João and Maria began to view their relationship in a new light, with a deeper understanding and renewed respect. They realized that, despite the mistakes and difficulties, it was possible to turn pain into learning and create a stronger, more united future. Thus, their story became an example of how recognition, overcoming, and forgiveness can effectively lead to true redemption. The story of João and Maria is a powerful reminder of how our choices and attitudes can profoundly impact those we love. João's shame and decision to present Maria as a maid were not just a mistake but a valuable lesson about the true worth of the people around us. Maria's journey, from underestimated wife to successful entrepreneur, shows that overcoming and recognition are possible even in the most difficult situations. The conclusion of this story is a celebration of redemption and the power of forgiveness. João, by confronting his mistakes and seeking a new way to value Maria, found an opportunity to rebuild not only his relationship but also his understanding of what truly matters in life. Maria, in turn, demonstrated admirable strength, using her pain as fuel to achieve her dreams and make her voice heard. This story challenges us to reflect on how we treat those we love and to recognize the value they have in our lives. After all, we all face moments of shame and error, but how we deal with them and seek redemption defines who we are. May we learn from João and Maria, valuing true recognition and offering ourselves and others a chance for a new beginning. Change starts with a simple gesture of remorse and a sincere desire to do what's right.